Hi there, gigs owners and other interested parties. Welcome to my interactive guide to how to light your ultra low emission burner. It's not really interactive, I'm just going to sit here and yap at you and you can watch and listen. Anyway, to light your ultra low emission burner, the first thing you need is some newspaper. Now the newspaper I've selected is just a standard newspaper, and I've ripped each sheet into a single piece, like so. You'll also need some kindling. Now you can use timber offcuts that have been split. I've got a few of those in there, but I've also split a few logs into some kindling. Over here I've got a few timber offcuts, some 4x2 and some split up pine and Oregon logs. So obviously the first thing to do is to scrunch up the newspaper and put it in the bottom. Now, as you can see, I've got 3 scrunched up pieces of newspaper in the back, from left to right, all across the back. What I'll do is I'll put another one here, and another one here, 3 across the front, and then 2 more scrunched and flattened on the top. And this is what it looks like once I've done that. Now, probably important to note, I don't bother sweeping the ash away between fires. Some people may choose to do that. But because it produces so little ash, I don't really see the point. So the next thing to do is pile on a few pieces of kindling. I normally put 5 across the bottom and then another row of 5 on top. As you can see, I've crisscrossed the kindling, so the first row is facing away from me, and the next row above that is going crossways. You can see I've staggered them a bit just to because the ones I've used today aren't quite as long as I normally use. And the same with the pieces of 4x2 I've got. Normally they're a little bit longer than that, and I just put 2 in there, but because they're shorter today I'll probably put 1 at the front like that, and just 2 the other way around. And that's about it. And when I find my lighter, we'll light her up. Now, I was talking to a guy at work the other day who also has an ultra low emission burner. It's not the same model as mine. I can't remember what brand he said he has, but he asked me the other day if I ever have any problem lighting my fire and getting it to stay lit. He says he's got to use paper and fire lighters, and he's got to keep the door open and wait for it to build up before he can close the door. I don't really have that problem. I simply light her up in a few different places, like so, stand back a little bit and close the door, and I lock it down, sit back and wait for the magic. As you can see, the kindling that I've used, it's probably about 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters, so not exactly tiny, but not too big either. And as you can see, it's lit pretty easily with no problem. That paper will burn off reasonably quickly, and it doesn't take very long at all for that kindling to set away. And the same with the pieces of 4x2 on top. In a couple of minutes that'll be roaring away quite nicely. So you can see it's taken hold at the back there quite nicely, and in a couple of minutes that will gradually spread forward again. The kindling I'm using might have been a bit damp. It hasn't taken as quickly as it normally does, but of course that's Murphy's Law when you're filming something, to show everybody how easy it is. But anyway, it'll flare up any moment. Now, one thing you will need when you're setting an ultra low emission burner is, I've got this fantastic antique chair here. That's what I use to sit on when I'm loading the paper and the kindling. Otherwise you end up kneeling, and because it's quite high off the ground you've got to kneel up, and it does your back in, and I'm pretty lazy at the best of times, so I like a good old dining chair to sit on and load up my fire. I'll just sit back a bit so you can see what's happening there.